Hello, and welcome to Depth Perception. We discuss movies and dive into how films direct the way we experience them. We create a perception of sound, a perception of sight, with a dimension of mind. We move into a land of both shadow and substance, of themes and ideas. I am joined, as always, by the Tin Man.
Join it.
Fresh off his performance from M last episode. And we have Coach K. Let me finish. Max.
Hey, I like it. There's no better tribute right there. And I might say, I thought you were going to say fresh off his performance from Broken Arrows. But that's another story altogether.
Are you talking about Tin Man? And
that's right.
His crooked arrows?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to get into that too?
That movie will come up. A little background. We have our own movie star. And
I just mislabeled his movie. Serpentine Arrows. You can all remember it well. Good gravy. I'm going to bed. This has been K-Max, and I'm out.
So it's been a while since we've had a really personal episode that hits close to home. But I think we got one today. Today's episode is brought to you by the phrase Indigenous representation. As our listeners may have caught on, we are indeed 3 enrolled members of the Tuscarora Nation as part of the Haudenosaunee. This is, however, also our disclaimer. Our voices do not speak for all Indigenous peoples, and our views may not represent the collective. We are from one nation located in the Northeast, with thoughts and values different from maybe each other, let alone our neighbors within our community. So our talking points for today include a brief background on our own Indigenous roots, historical versus stereotypical portrayals in movies, and with this one, think educational versus borderline or overtly racist. Then we'll move into movies in the modern age, i.e. past the time of horses and bows and arrows and whatnot. Next is insight into our own communities in relation to these films. What makes us happy or proud to see in movies with Indigenous representation. And finally, our own personal favorites. Do you guys have any initial thoughts or hopes or concerns so far?
I'm happy for the disclaimer because, man, oh man, that couldn't be more true. Most podcasts you tune in, you hear know-it-alls about know-it-all about know-it-all. And very, very, very swashbuckling about it. You won't hear that here from me because I represent me. And that's all I can ever represent. I can say I represent my family. That's not even true. I can say I represent my community. That's not even true. Or even this podcast. That certainly isn't true. I represent me. And what a cool platform to finally get a chance to say, but that's not nothing. That is, to me, it's everything. You know, it's so important for any quote-unquote marginalized population to have their voice inside that marginalized population. Because that's what makes you not marginalized, in my opinion. And I think that's huge to be able to say, yep, there are some atrocities. Yep, there are these, and those are facts. History can't be changed for my convenience or my political agenda. These things happened. Now then, inside of this, I guess I'm tired of having intellectuals or passionate people outside of my community try to tell me how I should feel about this or that, or how I should believe, or how I shouldn't believe. I even get a little bit offended when another Indigenous population from outside of my territory tells me how I should feel or think or believe.
Yeah.
Let alone someone within my borders.
Right.
So what I try to do because of that, because those things are hot button issues with me, I try really hard to live in a way that doesn't do that to them. You know what I mean? And that's not always easy. And sometimes you offend without intending to offend. But I think in the pursuit of not being offensive, you get a little bit closer to where maybe you'd want to see your neighbors be yourself. Well, since I started talking already, I have a little tiny thing I wanted to read for this section from dear old Braley here.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
So I have a Tuscarora Turtle Clan enrolled member, lifelong resident besides college, in support of the Tuscarora chiefs and clan mothers all my life. That's redundant, lifelong and all my life. I didn't proof that. I'm an English teacher. My family has been a Christian household for generations and a respectful neighbor to our traditional brothers and sisters at Tuscarora. We have so much more in common than what separates us at Tuscarora, and my heart has always been full of love and respect for those I share my boundaries with. We carry each other when things get hard. Sometimes when things are great, we nitpick each other. Not a perfect place, but no place I'd rather be. My grandma raised us with Skarura, but we never learned to read or write it. I resent the fact that people come in telling me now we have dictionaries and now we have to write it, to read it and spell it and speak it right. I'm thinking, I thought when we could speak it right, like people did for thousands of years, that was enough. Turns out it isn't sometimes. And you get judged by it, and you get looked at funny, and you get corrected. I don't like that. Because the origins, as always, are from outside the community. Mm-hmm. And it's for them to better understand and dissect us. Now, again, we can use that to help us, I'm not going to say validate, because that's not what it is, but we can use it to help substantiate who we are and understand that moving forward. But it certainly doesn't tell us who we are moving backward or looking back. So grandma raised us with that, so I love our history and enjoy learning and hearing stories from old timers. Now I are one. I'm at a loss. I'm at a huge loss to pass that knowledge along because there's so many stories that I wish I collected. There's so many books that I wish I wrote. But I've done my best, and I've kept a lot of journals, and I've talked to a lot of people. I love New Year. I love the picnic. I love the hunt. I love community fair. I love the feast. Gosh, I love the feast. I love maple syrup season. I love my neighbors, and I love Clan League basketball. These things that are unique to our tiny little community that you, on the other side of this microphone, maybe you know a little bit about it, maybe you don't. I hope that you get the passion that all of us three guys have for these tiny little nondescript things that won't ever touch the radar in your communities. But these are things that really are woven into the fabric of who we are. And we're going to talk about the big Western natives, the big tribes. We're going to talk about the Plains Indians. We're going to talk about maybe the Eastern Woodland Indians. But if you're going to understand anything about our perspective, you have to understand these tiny little events on this tiny little 7x2 or 2x4, whatever it is, however miles our entire nation is. Mm-hmm. Those events and those community things, those things shape our perspectives. But I have only one of maybe a couple thousand people, one perspective. And I will never pretend to be the voice of any of them because, gosh, they would hate that. I would hate them being my voice, too. But I know they would hate it. And they should.
Yeah.
I'm just me. Chris Braley, a blockhead, trying his best. Who happens to be Tuscarora and loves it.
Yeah. Oh, I like it.
Tin Man, you got a little...
Okay, I'll do this. Chwant, eskene ruskenet noa dia gatha disne ujihre gisasida disne wakachani skarura ekohewe kayadakra. That's
Subtitle. Subtitle.
That's a formal greeting.
That's so
Hello,
good.
how are you? My ceremonial name that I was given is Riskenet Nawadia. I'm of the Bear Clan, from growing up on the Tuscarora Indian Reservation. So that's a formal greeting of myself.
Beautiful. Now
I recognize all of it, and I'm so happy.
let's go. One of the cool things is that Tin Man has a huge leg up on us on the language department, and his mother has been a huge part of reviving that in the community. So kudos there for sure.
Shout out to Betsy.
Very, 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 very respected member of our community.
So for myself, there's a lot of thoughts and feelings that go into it. I'm, I guess, kind of I get like the rest of our podcast, kind of somewhere in the middle of you two.
It's right where we want you, buddy. It's right where we want you.
Well, the big difference, I am Christian, and I feel like I had a lot more going off the reserve for things, whether it be, I know you guys have this shared experience, but, going to Canada to play lacrosse, but then there's going to school away from the res. There was finding work away from the res. There was doing this and that away from the res, and getting to see. I was part of the first class at Syracuse that had the Haudenosaunee Promise, so I got to see a lot of young people from other nations and reservations doing the same thing. Getting away from the res and getting an education from a big time school. And seeing how people struggled leaving home, and for me it was quite the opposite. I had looked forward to leaving for at least for a little bit, and when I started at Syracuse, I wasn't sure where I would end up. I didn't really know if I'd be back or not, or where I'd be going with that education, and then that's where I met my current wife. So we've been together since 2007. We met at Syracuse, and part of, again, unwritten, unofficial rulings or traditions is, everything's with the matriarch. So if you're going to be with someone that's not Tuscarora or not native, especially if you're a man marrying a woman that's not native, you don't want to be, you like I said, unofficial, unwritten, but you can't really live on the reservation because you'd be bringing your spouse who wouldn't be able to own any property or land or anything. So that meant that I was going to make myself, not everyone adheres to that, but I was going to make myself follow that ideology and move away from the reservation. So granted, I only live 2 miles away from it. But
you can see it.
Yeah, right. I literally can't just look up the hill.
Me and 10 Man sled here in the wintertime. We need to ride home, but we sled here.
But it was kind of a, getting used to the non-native things, trying to figure out how to own a house and what comes with the extra stuff, getting regular running water whenever you want. Not that we didn't have, it was well water on the reserve, or you have it from a tank or whatever, but not, where water is just there.
Piped
you just
in,
you don't have to worry about anything. But also paying for all of that service too. Mm-hmm. So paying taxes on the land that you own, or that, in our nation, if you own that land, I mean, there's nothing giving you extra
permissions.
Yeah,
to own it.
yeah. Like, that's yours. That's your family's. That belongs to you guys. And but so this little plot that I have here is kind of like, okay, I have to look up the taxes that that are going to be put on this amount of land or this big a house, or if I want to build something, I have to make sure that gets approved from whatever. Mm-hmm. So a lot of extra permissions and governings, and so there's a lot of throughout the years. There's been a lot of learning new ways of doing things and being able to reincorporate those learnings into, I wouldn't say traditional ways of thinking, but, making sure that my ancestry and my heritage isn't lost also. So I do miss some of the, because there's times I'll be in the nation, I'm like, don't know who that is. Don't recognize these people. Even, because I run the basketball league in the community. That's where you hear clan league, that phrase come up. And there's times where people sign up, and I have to lean over like, whose son is that? Who's that guy's family? So a little bit different, I guess, than in that department than the other two fellows here. But for the most part, growing up, kind of similar up until college age, I guess. Growing up, and like we mentioned, well water, and I know we've definitely left hints of how it was growing up on the reservation throughout the podcast. So that's my little brief background, I guess. Any concerns, Tin Man, so far?
No, not yet. Just
Not yet, it's
just
right,
that
yeah.
movie you guys are
Like this, I'm thinking to myself, well, okay, how much distance do I have to put myself between myself and the pod after tonight? 'Cause, there's nothing. My perspective and my lens, my perception of life it's only my own. I can only claim it, and even like my family, like my mom and dad.
We
I'm
might
like,
completely oppose each other on it, but I
Absolutely.
don't care. Like, that's your view. Absolutely, carry it all you want.
That's
I'm not going to hold it. I'm not
that's
going to.
such a huge thing. Like our listeners out there. When I throw us in a hat, I'm like, we're as similar as they come. Age notwithstanding, we're similar in a lot of ways as far as we like to laugh. We have we see the lighter side of things.
Mm-hmm.
We choose to see the joyful part. We are fun hogs, which is a medical term. There's things about us that I really like, and I think that each of us have a unique. I think when our families come from 3 specific families that support our community, I'll say it that way, very strongly in different ways, from different angles. But I think find a lot of common ground in who and what we support and why, And, if we could do a show on this just from a political standing or from a historical standing or a linguistic standing even. But I think it's going to be fun tonight tackling it from a mass media standing.
Exactly.
I'm terrified, I'll be honest with you.
Well, like you said, and as with all of our podcasts, all we have is our own personal lens. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out as we talk about some of these movies. Because this first portion, we're going to go kind of through a list of movies, and each of us is going to say whether we thought it was more historical or stereotypical. So when I say historical, what I'm referring to is more praising or educating on indigenous cultures. So it doesn't necessarily mean, it's set in old times, so it's historical. What I mean is, in what context are those stories and cultures represented? But you have stereotypical on the other side, which I think kind of speaks for itself. But it's movies that their portrayal of indigenous cultures is not. Maybe it's there just for our viewing pleasure, or entertainment purposes only. But sometimes that borders on racist or ignorant views as well. So I'll start off. We'll go with a movie that it's probably the biggest, the most well-known, award-winning, Dances with Wolves.
Oh.
What do you guys think? You think that's more of a historical, or do you think it's more stereotypical portrayal?
I think it's more historical. I enjoyed the movie when I watched it when I was 3, like all the way to maybe I think I watched it like once last year sometime.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed the movie. I enjoyed the plot, where the characters had moved, how they were dressed, even
Enough that it wasn't a distraction then when like any indigenous cultures or traditions or characters were shown on screen.
No, I don't think so. And I think I actually watched some documentary on Kevin Costner and the writers behind it that were trying to make it as accurate as possible.
Mm.
And even when they were riding horses and stuff, because they had natives who could ride the horses come in to ride the horses and stuff like that. So I thought it was pretty cool. Like there was a really neat documentary on it. And I didn't get to see the whole thing, but I did watch some of it, and it kind of just bolstered my appreciation for it.
Nice.
So I did like that one.
Okay, Max, what do you think?
I think that any film, that's a big job. That's a broad brush. I'm trying to be real careful with all of this because I really don't feel like people are out to get me as an indigenous man. I honestly don't. Mm-hmm. And I think that especially when you're creating art, you're gonna miss the target sometime. I know this because I dabble in it. I'm not good at it, but I try. I throw things out there, songs, poems, short stories, movies, and I take my swings at it. And I've sold quite a bit, which is kind of cool. Problem is when you sell it, you don't really own it anymore.
Right.
So you get some money for it. You go to a lot of Disney vacations, which is wonderful. But what you don't get is you don't get creative title. So the things that I try to write are used in different things, like little portions of maybe part of video game dialogue, maybe a little bit of someone's song or an album, or maybe part of a movie that you might see. Well, which ones do you get? Well, turns out I can't say or even speak because I don't know where
It's
they
not
go.
yours. It's not yours anymore.
Once they go out there. So I would rather be.
Richie, that check.
This
Here's
is silly.
your money.
I'll get a check. Give me that. Give me them ill-gotten gains, and you can keep your creative. Again, because I think it's a pride thing, then, right? But the older I get now, the more I'm thinking to myself, I want to start doing things to get some not recognition, but just get like this story,
Something that you can own.
or this adaptation was written a little bit by this goofball on the reservation.
More gains as an artist rather than actual, monetary gains.
I think so. It's funny. I've always been a little more pragmatic that way, but I'm thinking of the hyphen a little bit more. Now that I'm 53 and I've survived a stroke and a heart attack, I think of the hyphen, the time between February 7th, 1972 and whatever it is that I check out. Mm-hmm. I think of the hyphen a little bit more. Not for me, but for my kids. And if there's any kids and folks. Because pretty soon, I know where I'll be. The part that makes me Chris, which is great. And it's all wonderful. But there's going to be a stone that represents me to everybody else left here.
Well, that in itself is a very... again, broad strokes, but indigenous way of thinking is thinking for, 7 generations, we call it, right? Think about how you leave the world. It should be left in a better place than when you got it. So with that way of thinking of your children and your children's children and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a very indigenous way of thinking as well.
That's what I meant to say. That's not true. But how I feel about the representation, like in Dances with Wolves, to answer the question, Braley, goodness gracious.
I was about to say
Thank
something
you.
too.
Stay on the topic here.
Yeah, keep going. I like it.
Quite frankly, though, I feel like most films like that tend to put the European folks on a pedestal a bit. And I feel like even when it's accurate, it feels like it makes us the victims and everything. Because if you're taking a snapshot of that time, we definitely were the victims. I get it, at that period of time. But so many people...
You mean like the white savior trope type
thing?
Yeah,
I think
whatever?
some of that.
Okay.
I think some of that, but also I think the you are victimized here and there's not a damn thing you can do about it. This is happening to you. Colonization is happening to you. You are defenseless against it. When in fact, it was more or less a mindset that, why are you being so nasty? Why are you being so mean? You can't own this land anyway. Yeah, of course you can live there. Oh, you're moving more people there? Yeah, I guess that's okay. There's plenty of land for all of us. It was a whole mindset of we're sharing this with you. Yeah, you're getting a little close now. And then, oh my goodness, you've just wiped out all my people. Yeah. You don't see it coming. It wasn't an ignorant and it wasn't a victim mentality. It was a total different way of thinking. That you're coming here to destroy, take. It wasn't just Gene Autry singing, "This land is your land." It could have very well been saying, "This land is my land, and you need to get the hell off my land."
Right.
Because Manifest Destiny carries all that with it. And it's such a nice, wrapped up with a nice, beautiful bow. And so whenever you see representation in any movie where there's, pushing off of the land, or Geronimo had a lot of this, where you're seeing these, Trail of Tears things happening, and this forced removal and displacement, and you see these people just wearing it. You're like, this is awful. Is it historically accurate? I don't know. I wasn't there, but from all the things I've read, it's probably pretty close. But there always seems to be, if someone's going to save it or turn it around, it's going to be the white protagonist. If someone's going to intervene, if there's anybody that's going to make it make sense to the oppressor, it's going to be this heroic European. I don't know if that's true, but I felt a little bit of that in Dances with Wolves.
Okay.
Now, it's tough because I noticed that as well, and there's quite a few movies where that's going to come up.
Yeah, right.
But it's also, it's tough because if you're trying to educate an audience, and the audience is that other side, how are they going to relate to the story other than finding a character that they can relate to?
That's right.
And so movies like Dances with Wolves aren't necessarily made for us indigenous peoples. It might be made for the general public as a way of saying, hey, here's a little education for you. And it's tough because I think there is a balance in characters like that, and like I said, we're going to talk about a few movies where your main protagonist is the one making changes, whether it be for themselves, becoming more enlightened with their indigenous neighbors, or if it's making changes like, saving the day or getting the girl, and so I think it's a very a tightrope to balance, and also depends on the individual of how you perceive that character.
Oh yeah.
Because from our perspective, we could see that guy and say, "Of course, it's the white guy that's saving the day here and making stopping the soldiers from doing whatever,
and taking the pretty native girl
away from all the rest of it." So I have to look off the reds from. No, I'm kidding. But if you look at it,
so many shout outs.
We don't have the other lens, though, between the three of us. We don't have the other lens of saying, well, I don't know anything about these indigenous peoples. I wish now I have this character that's kind of going through the same mindset of, oh, they're the enemy, they're whatever, and now I'm stuck in their culture, being forced to learn.
And he's diarying his progress of understanding out loud,
that's
right.
for everyone to get on board with with the understanding.
Right. So it's less of a perception from the other side and more of an education because he's doing something like that.
That's good. I'm one of my favorites that I was going to take from the end that I didn't include was The Last Samurai, and there's a very similar narrative there with Tom Cruise's character, Aldrin. He's keeping a diary also of he's remembering his experiences with the Plains Indians when they were going across and removing them and taking over the lands for America, and he was hired because of his great skill in doing this, and brought over there to get rid of the samurai by the Japanese, by Meiji and those folks, and and you see his appreciation for the culture. And I get what you're saying is you got to go with this. You don't have to, but it's easier for the audience to relate to a character that looks like them and speaks like them, and has is like them.
Yeah.
And so then he did it in two ways in The Last Samurai. He did it with the North American indigenous folks, and then the indigenous folks of Japan, the samurai, and those folks with their traditional beliefs. And even more so in that, it showed him learning and then embracing, and then even rejecting his own ideals for theirs, and then eventually going back to that. So as you were talking about that, I thought of Aldrin and his character, and it made good sense to your point that how else are they going to do that? It's
right,
the most effective.
Most of these aren't actual depictions, but they're either what do you call it? Adaptations of written stories. Or their original screenplays, and so when you're writing something, that's how you're going to do it.
Love it.
I wanted to share a little a memory from Syracuse because I was in a few film type classes, and one of them, not the whole class, just one week, I guess, we had a speaker come in, and he was a native guy. I don't think he knew there was any natives in the audience. So the way that he carried himself was very
he's
isolated. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Isolated himself, kind of, it was kind of like, I'm the authority here, kind of walked in. And I kept quiet through the whole thing because I wanted to hear how he would carry himself and how he would pretend to represent all indigenous folks and try to be the authority on things. And so the first movie he brought up was Dances with Wolves, and he hated it. And he said, he brought up things about the noble savage and the romanticism of everything. And I kind of thought, what a hateful way to think of everything.
Yeah, yeah.
To disregard all the other,
Did he
give
a good
accuracies.
example? Did he give a good example?
No,
in
that
the
was
movie?
I was going to bring that up though.
okay.
Was kind of like, okay, you're calling out all these movies about being this and that. I'm kind of thinking, where are your good examples then? And I don't remember. He may have brought up something like Smoke Signals, but even then, it was kind of like Smoke Signals is a very like inside joke type of movie, though. Like your standard audience is going to see that almost like an exhibition rather than a narrative.
That's right.
They're going to be they're on this side of the movie screen saying, "Oh, this is how they live," huh? Kind of behind the bars, like I said, exhibition, like at a zoo almost.
Right.
Because they're not in on the joke here.
Right.
So I remember that being a very eye-opening thing about how a lot of natives view things like Indigenous representation in movies and shows, and it's a lot of maybe hatred, but more like well, you're not us, so you wouldn't know type of thing.
Yeah.
And so a lot of critical
Exclusivism?
remarks, and kind of I'm like, well, what do you want? What do you want from the movies?
What would
then?
be
And I didn't get a chance to speak with him afterwards because I think I was too angry. I feel like I would have said something I didn't want to say. But his negative passion for how natives are represented in movies, like I said, is, well, the only other way to do it by how you're describing everything is that only natives can do it, and you can only tell native stories from a native point of view. And my thought is, then your movie is for natives then, and you're you're making yourselves exclusive to the public. You're not sharing your cultures and your beliefs and everything. You are excluding everyone else from it.
Right.
So, so that was my little.
Which there is
story.
a small market for that also.
Oh, there most definitely is. Just like for like barbershop movies.
Yeah,
or,
but your big Hollywood blockbusters with your A-list stars aren't going to be just for,
right.
7% of the population.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I get it.
All right. Here's another one around the same time frame. Last of the Mohicans.
I have only seen pieces of that.
What?
Yeah. What kind of native guy is this?
Why don't you learn something about your culture?
I've seen the fight scene at the end a bunch.
The music?
Yeah. I can still hear the music.
I think
You
like
go.
I think with most of these type of epic films, I think there's room for both. There's always plenty of room for both. If it's a major Hollywood release, you're going to get some. Of course, you're going to get some of the noble savage. Here's the thing about stereotypes, gang. I hate to break it to you, kids, but stereotypes exist, and they can be ugly. Broad strokes are dangerous paintbrushes. You want to. Because human beings are fine. They're finely drawn. They're fearfully and they're wonderfully made. That's how they're made. And individuals are finely little. I'm drawing. You can't see it now. You're listening audience, but they're drawn with little nooks and crannies, and there's little like a little sponge, a little dab here and there, a little dab, right? And then you get some fine little lines. Not this. Just here's a person. Here's Native American, and here's the African American. Not these just broad strokes, but stereotypes do exist because there's a little bit of truth there somewhere. It came from somewhere, right? I want to pick on Annalise so bad. Female drivers, right? And maybe not female drivers. Okay, but like teenagers. Let's pick on teenagers. But that's pretty safe. They'll make a lot of threats. They'll talk, but no one understands the language they use anyway. That's a stereotype right there. But like, I think of the idea of well, they don't take care of their cars. Or they don't appreciate their cars. When do you know it's time to get gas? Or when you're out of gas, you're right on the side of the road. Or when do you know when it's time to change your oil? Well, when the engine oil, not the engine oil, but the check engine. Yeah.
How about when it's time to go to the dentist?
Yeah. Right.
Oh, 7 cavities.
230.
Yeah, 230.
230.
Oh, that's what I'm saying.
I like that one.
Yes. I'm like, how the stereotypes come from somewhere, and I'm not a fan of broad strokes, but it's like in these movies, if you're gonna portray anything to the mass audience, to the masses, you better give them something they can relate to. And sadly, if I'm gonna do the West, I'm gonna draw cowboy hats, and if I'm gonna do Thanksgiving, I'm probably gonna do a pilgrim hat, and there's probably gonna be some feathers. I'm sorry. But if I'm teaching a lesson to second graders in America, I better have some feathers, and I better have some pilgrim hats. And I remember wearing one with students once on Instagram and just catching.
Oh, no.
I caught all the smoke. I caught all the smoke. And I just remember laughing, and saying, "They're kids. Relax." And then people are like, "Well, that's just the problem." I'm like, "Is it?" I could name 500 problems bigger than my feathers and pilgrim hats for my second graders. And yet those were the margins we were going to fight about.
There's a lot of hints that just by the nature of your conversation that are going to show up a little bit later in our podcast about kind of being stuck in the past when we relate it to our own communities. And so bookmark that a little bit.
Yeah,
but
so we're going to talk about that though, right? Stuck in the past in our own.
Oh, we will.
Okay, because I got some things.
So my thoughts on Last of the Mohicans, because it was based on some literature that as far as I remember, I could be wrong on this, but I believe it was their stories kind of, I don't want to say romanticizing, but they were like adventure stories for that time, I believe. I could be wrong on that, but they were meant for entertainment. So when you have this movie, it's tough when you only have these two categories of historical and stereotypical. But I don't think. What I'll say is I don't think I would lump it with historical. Even though I enjoy the movie, I enjoy the soundtrack, but the movie, as opposed to Dances with Wolves, because I mean that narrative was about Kevin Costner's character learning and changing his ways. Last of the Mohicans, you have the main character is a non-native that has, I guess, already assimilated into the native culture. So you have this non-native guy, and kind of similar thing where he's going to get the girl, he's going to save the day. But the native characters along with that they don't really contribute to his character improving, I guess, or having some understanding, some newfound understanding or appreciation. It's just a static situation of this non-native guy who has some similarity. Like, I think he speaks the language, he dresses like them. But for all intents and purposes, overtaking the native characters and, again, winning the day, in the end, defeating, I think his name was Magua, right? Mm-hmm.
West Studi character?
Yep, West Studi, yeah. And so when you kind of back up from it a little bit, it's kind of like, oh, even West Studi's character was aligned with the bad guys in the movie. Yeah. So you I don't know, you don't have a growth from everything that involves the native characters. It's just kind of a story that revolves around Daniel Day-Lewis's character, and it's more of an adventure action movie at that point. So it's weird saying that out loud, that I would not sign it with historical even just from the source material that it comes from, wasn't entirely truthful about everything or educational. So
one thing I really I keep interrupting. One thing I don't apologize. I just keep interrupting. I'm just stating the fact that I keep interrupting, and I will. Is Magua like he not only did he like align with the bad guys, he was like a bad guy, right? But it gives you a little backstory on him. Not just you have to know that some didn't like each other, and some like this guy who looks even more fierce, warred with these better looking, less fierce looking natives. But like it gives you the backstory that his family was massacred by the British, and he just wanted to get anybody aligned with the British or appearing to be aligned with the British out of that area. And I thought that was actually pretty well written character, like a historically fit version of someone who might have lived and kind of like was alienated, saying, how am I going to get my vengeance here? Like inside this movie, which had some stereotypes, and there's been a lot of argument about whether it's historical or stereotypical. You have this beautiful character written who's a bad guy.
Yeah.
And I think very often you would look at that person who's a bad guy and say, well, you just have to know that they were always at war with each other. These people didn't like these people, and some tribes were against others. It went further than that, and it said, this human being, this person, this character, has a psyche, has a trauma that was inflicted by this group. So now he's seeking revenge because they seem to be aligned with the British.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, it is really
like
cool.
A little snapshot within the movie. That's Wes Studi's character, and hearing interviews with him and meeting him a few times. I don't understand the guy, but getting to ask him some questions about that character, he was relieved to hear that someone knew that about his character.
Yeah.
he's like, you're the one that paid attention to that little fact that I wasn't just some a-hole killing off the good guys,
killing off natives.
That's,
like
such an interesting aspect, though, because for how the source material depicts some of these characters, he's writing it as a narrative. Mm-hmm. So, these are fictional. Well, I think it may be inspired by true things, but the character, it's all fictionalized for a narrative. So it's kind of tough. You're walking a line here. Is he just portraying, like, is he just have a character out there to be, this guy, or is he taking it from real?
Oh, that's interesting.
Real motivation for this character, and then you fast forward to when it's filmed. As the actor, then do you view this character as a shallow, fictionalized, written thing by someone that isn't necessarily portraying things the right way, or are you trying to re-envision this character as someone that's scorned by the British and just wants revenge and has, hate in his soul because of what happened to him in the past?
That the filmmaker's doing his job, yes, to that latter. Yes, right. To the latter.
But then again, it depends on how your perception is of the source material.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's good stuff. It's a whole course. That's the cool thing about this, looking at it almost as a course. You look at the little sidebars. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that's almost like a sub-course right there. Yeah. Like, looking at it and investigating. When filmmakers are trying to... Where's the line between
we also have
fidelity
friends,
to...
We also have friends in that movie. We could probably ask them too.
Right. And I honestly don't know. Until they tune into this podcast, I don't even want to hear a peep from them. A peep.
They know this
yes,
podcast
we're talking
exists.
To you. We're talking to you. Yeah, you hear us.
We're looking at you. People that share our boundaries and our blood and can't tune in to Depth Perception Movie Podcast. Come on, baby.
How about this? Shanghai Noon. How about Shanghai Noon?
That's the last thing I wrote.
And it'll be the last thing you write.
Last thing I ever write.
That's not
All right,
true.
Tin Man, you've been quiet. I know you've seen Shanghai Noon.
I've seen that one.
Historical or
that one seemed pretty stereotypical. It was still a fun movie. Like
Chikuno. That's all I remember from it.
I know they get him high. They smoke a peace pipe, and I'm like, I don't know if they ever smoked weed.
What kind of tobacco is it?
It's got the wacky tobacco. But it was, I don't know, it was fun. I don't know. I have such a
That's
like
the thing.
a loose like they're not actively mocking, but it was neat to see Jackie Chan do like ninja fighting against natives and I don't know, it was like a cool fight. I thought it was a cool fight. And then they like all became friends and it was like, yeah, it's silly, it's probably not accurate. It is stereotypical, but I don't feel offended by watching it.
Right.
So
that's
if you're on the
that's why
same
I
page
brought
as
this
me,
one up.
that's what I thought.
There's
I go,
a few
"Yep,
movies like this.
It's a little silly. It's a little obnoxious, I guess. But I had fun watching it, and I was like, that was cool.
Right.
Like,
And at the end, they saved the day because they were stuck in the church,
yeah,
and they're like, "All right, well, we're gonna go out there at the count of 3." And they bust out thinking that they're
they're
gonna
all getting
face-
shot.
Yeah,
Like, they're going out in a blaze of glory.
and
yeah.
all the tribe is like shooting guns in the air.
Yeah.
Because
Yep.
they came to the rescue.
Yep. Oh, that's right.
So, yeah, because I did want to bring that up because I wouldn't say it's definitely not historical. Well, not for education purposes.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
also not done in a fashion that's ignorant or meaning to.
Right. Offend or
yeah.
or put down, I guess.
Right.
I also, I don't know. I am very un-PC. I don't know if anyone's out there knows.
Oh, what a big surprise. I'm going to have a heart attack and die from that surprise.
But I feel like
that was Iago from Aladdin. Right?
That's right.
I can't do an impression. My Gilbert Gottfried voice is not good.
I got a great
Hold
one.
on, hold on.
Okay, I don't want to wake up the whole
we can do
family.
No, do it.
No, because they're on the spot. I won't be able to. It's going to sound like Don Rickles at best.
Don Rickles.
Man, I could be trying to do a Jimmy Carter or a Johnny Carson or a Donald Trump. If someone puts me on the spot, it's Don Rickles.
Don Rickles. That's what comes out.
That's my default setting. Or Dom DeLuise. Or Brad
It's
Pitt.
quite different.
Right.
I had a Brad Pitt impression for a second at one point.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, okay.
Mine's only in looks.
Dattaboy.
Oh, jeez.
Dattaboy.
Hold on. Let me try it. Buongiorno.
This time. No, this time. Sing it. You have to sing it out. I just love Christoph Waltz in that movie.
Yeah. That's my Brad Pitt right there.
That's such a good one from Inglourious Bastards.
Well, K-Max, any thoughts on Shanghai Noon?
Not many. I've watched it, enjoyed it. I don't remember much about it, to be honest with you.
All right. Okay. This one, I'm not sure.
Overly offended by it?
Yeah.
No, I don't remember being.
I'm not sure if we've all seen this one, so I'm just going to throw it out there. At Narjwat, the Fast Runner.
I have not.
Me
I meant to try to. For this.
Me either. Me
Never
neither.
got to it.
For any listeners
Me
out
not.
there,
Me not as well.
check that one out. I'll leave it at that.
All right. Typing it in. Typing it on a list.
How about this one? Prey.
Yes.
Ooh, yummy.
Yes, I did see that one.
So, historical? Stereotypical.
Do I really think the predator attacked a native nation?
Stereotypical of a predator? Oh, yeah.
So stereotypical.
All predators are stupid.
That's offensive. How dare
Where's
you?
our bell? We need an offensive bell.
How dare
Hit the
you?
bell.
Yes.
I'd go stereotypical.
Really? Even with a
It was
full...
accurate. Is it accurate?
Even
like
with a
his-
full...
All native cast and stuff?
what do they speak? Comanche? I can't remember. The entire...
I don't know. I can't.
They
Watched it.
offer-
When we
they
watched it
offer,
together. We watched
we
it.
did
in
watch
English
it. We all
subtitles.
watched it.
audio. That's all...
Yeah, when we watched it, the three of us, we watched it with English subtitles,
Right.
which was cool.
Yeah.
I like that. I felt like that's about as
I
authentic.
thought it was neat. That part was neat, but how the movie played out, like how the village ran, how they would attack. I don't know if I feel like that was accurate. Like it was, let's do the language, somebody actors, and then we're gonna make it a Hollywood movie, regardless of the time period. That's my thought.
Interesting. K-Max, what do you think?
Yeah, I was caught up in the subtitles thinking, this is cool. And I think I still feel that way, that in doing that, they showed me that they were making a greater effort than most to make it more authentic.
Mm-hmm. I'm not taking away the entertainment from it. You say it's stereotypical, like Shanghai Noon, I feel it was more stereotypical than historical. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's a alien attacking, so I don't know how historical.
Well, I did say praise and educate, and I feel that Prey does praise.
Maybe I can be convinced, but I don't know the way the structure of the people and how they did things. I don't know. It just felt like it was like, how would we want natives to look for our movie's sake? But we're going to have them speak, which is neat. I won't take that away. That's really cool as a language enthusiast, connoisseur, enthusiast, language appreciator. Yeah. But it felt like their parts were moving Hollywoodish. I don't know how to describe what I'm trying to say. But
so I'm gonna save part of what I have, my main thoughts on it for a little bit later. But yeah, I think it, for me, it praises that that culture and strengthens it while keeping it mainstream, I guess. So that mainstream part of it is what I'm going to circle back to when we speak on the subject a little bit later.
That was neat, though. It did have the language in it the whole time.
Here's what I hope is going to be an easy one.
The knife rope weapon. Just threw me off, I guess.
Like, that's my main thing. I hate knives. I hate rope. And I hate them together.
Knives, I am fine with. Ropes,
also fine.
Combine them. That's some BS.
Yeah, I walked out of the theater. I don't know what to tell you.
Don't tell me she did. She did. She tied it to the knife. I'm out of here.
Tin Man looking over. So help me God. She ties that to the knife.
Rope should stay with the ropes.
Should
stay with the
I'll turn this thing around. I turn it around.
You guys all suck.
All right, here's an easy one for us, I hope. Peter Pan.
Oh, my.
Historical. Couldn't be more obnoxious.
Tin Man, what does make the red man red?
Talking about crooked arrows.
That's going to be the biggest segment of our...
Oh, my gosh.
K-Max.
No, you're right on the money there. I'm glad you put such a slam dunk out there of seeing...
A slam dunk for obnoxious, over the top.
Yeah, it's almost
stereotypical.
Like, well, it's very much in the camp of the Parasite family. You know what I mean? When you see how they were wearing having all that stuff, it makes you look at it. You're like, holy cats! This is that. It was almost hard to see at first. You're like, what are you trying to use this for? Because I felt like they were blatantly using those images for our benefit, not to, but like seeing their whole thing like that little bit of a, just kind of showing their ignorance, right?
Yeah.
And so it's cool. If you're going to use it that way to show their ignorance, great.
And I've never seen an actual native or in historical context do the wah, 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 wah thing. Like, it's such a odd, I don't know. Like, that's
right.
Let's mimic the sound that they're making by doing this.
That's what,
and then have them do it in film. It just seemed
right.
Now it seems like ridiculous. When I was a kid, I didn't care. I was like, hey, there's natives too. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that a big chunk of me being younger felt like that. When you see the Redskins on a football team, like I'd wear a Redskins shirt just because there was a native on it.
Yeah. Then you learn the deeper meaning, and you're like, oh, what the heck? Some do and some don't. Some, like myself, I'm like, what was I thinking?
I know. Then I got a hoodie and a hat.
Like, I'm just kidding. I kid you not, though. The thing is, I know it's a sidebar, but man, I have grace on both sides of that issue because I know people who have a great sense of pride from it. A great sense of pride for it. Seeing the Chiefs, or hearing they said they used to get goosebumps when they'd hear the battle cries and the war whoops and things like that. And I'm like, and I also see the other side of it very distinctly clear, especially with the name Redskins, right? And because people always ask me like, well, what do you think about it? And then it's always the most non-native of non-native football fans explaining to me, breaking it down for me, really setting me down and letting me know.
Let me show you how accurate my tomahawk chop is.
Yes,
and then you can tell me.
And also, like, they talk to a family who that logo is based on, and they're really passionate about it, and they want it back. So you understand now, right? They've educated me. They've sat me down and educated me on why I shouldn't be offended by this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then I said,
so don't get mad at my husband's Halloween spirit
that's
headdress.
Exactly true.
Right.
That's exactly true. Or the January 6th guy wearing a headdress also. None of that. Don't get mad at any of that. Ignore any of that ever happened. But, Braley, I want you to sit down here and just take it back a notch. And just listen to why you shouldn't be offended by this anymore. We've got a family. We found some. We found some of your people.
We've got a petition of 100 people.
Have your people, darkies like you, who agree with us, and we should get the Redskins' name back. What do you think about that? So next question.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you're still not getting it. And again, I'm not even making any statements here, but just stop trying to tell me what I should and shouldn't be offended by. Furthermore, stop trying to tell me how you've justified what you're doing or this name. Stop it. Stop it. Well, you're just choosing to be offended. If you read a book or attend a class in history, you can clearly see why large portions of the population feel marginalized by these things. You can't stop that from happening. You can't make that not happening by having a petition by a couple hundred people or meeting with one family who's probably doing pretty well because of your initiative to agree with you and sign off on it. And, and then there's gray areas, though, because there are some things that do name. I mean, I think of like the Salamanca Warriors. You know what I mean? Their name. And I think of places like that actually have large, predominantly native populations.
My NOTL team.
That's right. That's absolutely true.
Just had a guy with braided hair with lacrosse sticks on him, with wooden lacrosse sticks from Patterson's lacrosse sticks.
That's absolutely true.
So it's like, that was what my team logo was for years. And I was like, well, it's half the team's native.
That's right. And then you compare that with the backdrop of Chief Wahoo on the Cleveland Indians uniform. And people are like, well, Cleveland Indians bad. I'm like, okay, that's two separate issues. The name there comes from a pretty solid source for the Cleveland Indians. Pretty respectable source. The history there kind of backs up the idea that, all right, not ugly, but then you're going to adopt a logo of Chief Wahoo with a bucktooth, big nose, screaming Wahoo, Chief Wahoo, and you're going to tell me not to be offended by that. Right. And okay, I don't need to be, but as long as you create, the New York whatever words with their logo,
we're gonna go there.
with their logo that accentuates all the caricatures of that culture,
right,
in a negative way. Show me that guy.
Yeah, show me one other culture where you're gonna make them into a cartoon and then see it not become offensive.
And it's so funny what a hot button topic it becomes to people who. All I'm asking for is to take a peek at it, take a look at.
Well, that's the thing is like at least accept. Like you should be able to see that logo and understand why it might be offensive.
Do you guys
to some
think
people.
it might be because they think that we don't exist anymore? Because there are people that think that their natives don't really exist anymore.
There are folks who see us as
well. Hold that one then
Dave Chappelle.
For later or later.
Yeah,
hold it for later.
That one on
hold
a plane.
it for later. What does that mean, Vosley? Hold it for later.
Stay for a nightcap. You remember that movie?
I got three more movies for historical versus stereotypical. Bone Tomahawk. Have you guys seen that one?
Yes.
No.
I just looked it up too because it's on my list.
Kind of a horror western.
Really?
Yeah. So I enjoyed the movie well enough.
My nickname in college, by the way. I say that to everything.
But again, if you look at it,
Tomahawk Clippers. It's going on a
Hey.
shirt.
and a third thing.
And a third thing.
A bone.
So again, I enjoyed the movie well enough because I enjoy westerns and I like how versatile they are. That's a little foreshadowing for a couple of episodes from now. But if you look at it through the lens of how it depicts indigenous cultures, you have this cannibalistic, primitive tribe
Oh yeah,
That
they're like half cave
performs
people.
these awful things to our protagonists.
Just the most brutal tortures you could find on screen.
Probably the most brutal killing you'll see on a screen if you see Bone
Have you seen
Tomahawk.
it?
I haven't.
Oh, it's awful.
Really?
Well, the torture, like
There's one scene.
there's one scene in
especially.
particular that is so rough. Like, I watched it the other day. I'm like, yep, it just as makes me feel as gross as the first time I watched it.
So I think that I feel like they tried not to portray it like an indigenous tribe, but more of a
Intentionally, I just read it up. Intentionally
hit
did
us.
not want to make it to mimic any specific nation.
Nice.
So it's very much a idea of
Okay.
a possible tribe that never existed historically, but made them out to be the most like heinous monsters possible for the story's sake. So they intentionally kept it away from anyone specific. So they're not it's not mimicked after anyone specifically. So they are cannibals that are covered in mud and dirt constantly and are committing
Bones and
yeah
stuff. So
they have like hollow bones that make like a whistling noise on them.
Oh,
on their
yeah,
faces
that's
somewhere or
right.
something. That's all made up though. That's not from any historical native nation.
that's why we got Tin Man to look things up like that.
Google, I'm Joe Rogan's red band guy for you guys.
You're a producer that
Just
doesn't do any producing.
Just Google stuff in the background. Hey, we'll look that up real quick. I got you.
But it's interesting though because I don't. Do you think because Tin Man, you've seen it and K-Max hasn't? Do you think it's effective enough in straying away from any likeness of an
I think
existing
because
tribe?
we got some history and we look into it and know people. Like we have cousins and family that go all the way to Arizona. You know, all the way across the U.S.
Yeah.
and my wife's got family that goes all the way to Washington State. But there's not any. I don't think anyone on the outside would think that's intentionally not. They just might not know. That might be some native nation. You know, that might be an actual. That might be how they were back then.
Right.
But I mean, for the movie's sake, it was a pretty terrifying like group of people in that story. Like I thought it played well. As far as a horror, it was
Right.
pretty horrific.
And again, this is only with the lens of seeing the native portrayal. Then it, like I said, it's a fine line. It's
Yeah.
is this doing anything positive? Like probably not, but it's not. That's not its purpose either.
Yeah, I think they wanted to create a scary, horrific movie. Like wanted to make a horror movie in the Western time frame, and then have the natives be the scariest element in the story.
Oh,
And so
man.
they, in order to do it, then to not be offensive, they made a native culture that wasn't in real existence.
Right.
They made up one. So they said it was intentionally done that way too. So I don't know. I thought it was kind of neat.
I wonder if I don't recall it well enough to know if there's any like disclaimer that said like
In the movie? I
if
don't
there's
think
like
that-
no
I don't remember if there was.
no likeness or resemblance of actual tribes or whatever. But
I can just tell you that's the first thing that showed up when I Googled the thing. When
Interesting.
I Googled something about it. What was it? Yeah.
all right, we'll go back to something that
Yeah, if you get a chance, if you want to watch 90 seconds of like the worst part of a movie ever.
Jeepers.
even I'm
like
a
a
big fan of horror movies.
Faces of
Even
Death
I
again.
was like,
Really?
oh my, that
It's
is
rough. Let me just
I
walk you
may
through it
have
real
to
quick.
step
or you
away
wanna
for a
wa- or
second.
you
No,
wanna
no,
watch it?
we're not even going to describe it on this podcast. But like even I was like, I think I got to step away for a minute here. And
Yeah, it's rough.
Yikes.
all right, how about Lone Ranger, Johnny Depp?
I tried really hard to like it.
Not hard enough, it sounds like.
I thought the movie was neat, and they made his character like the funniest. Like they made him the lead character in the movie. He was not really a sidekick. It felt like he was. I'm the wise one who knows all, and I will help this white man fulfill his destiny by being better at him than everything. His accent's kind of funny.
Well, K-Max, we haven't heard from you in a while.
Well,
have you seen it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I like it the same way I like Pirates of the Caribbean, right? Johnny Depp's a hoot. Mm-hmm. I took it for what it's worth. I'll say this. I'll sum up that genre, maybe not just that movie, but that genre, the whole Lone Ranger and Tonto by a joke. They're pinned up behind a rock, and they're surrounded by Indians.
That's a lot of eye contact.
It's going to you now. I changed it up. And the Lone Ranger looks at Tonto and he says, "We're in it deep now, Kimosabe. We're in trouble." And Lone Ranger looks at him, and Tonto looks back at him and says, "What do you mean we, white man?" So, I mean, it's almost like a volley back the other direction. It's like, if he is the romanticized noble savage, if they're gonna play him off there, then I volley it back to the writers and creators of that character and that relationship, which is a beautiful relationship, I think. My thing is this: I have plenty of friends on all sides of aisles, politically, religiously, agnostically, and certainly racially.
Yeah.
And so why can't you play that dynamic a little bit in Hollywood, and use that as like a brotherhood, kinship, and yet celebrate and laugh at the differences? That's what I do with it. And I don't like being told that I have to, you know what I mean? Like being told that you can't enjoy that, or you should. Remember when that came out? I was trying a couple other like ideas of podcasts, right? During when that movie kind of came out. It was before way big podcasts were everywhere.
Yeah.
But being on a political show about that, someone was trying to pin me down on that. And I'm like, if it's entertainment, I take it as entertainment.
And that's what I didn't mind his portrayal. I thought he did a good job trying to be like playing a native. Mm-hmm. I just thought their roles were weird because I was like, it felt like Hollywood's trying to do the thing PC way. So they didn't make them partners. They made him the wise one who knew everything, and this kind of bumbling white guy coming along to help him along. And I was hoping for more of a, not buddy cop, but like a partnership. Like a Thunderheart. Like a Thunderheart relationship is what I was kind of hoping for.
And I think, what's wrong with a buddy cop? I would have liked that a little bit more too.
Yeah.
Myself.
Maybe that is what I mean then. But that like back and forth banter that
equal.
That keeps
we're equals.
That's
and it. I know stuff from here, you know stuff from there, and
maybe they don't get along really well, and they butt heads halfway through, and then eventually one of them saves another one, and it comes like
a huge thing about films that I get really ticked off at is this need to make it something. Just make the film you want to make, and again, that might be crude of me to say, and that might even be a little ignorant.
Well, especially on a depth perception.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I mean, honestly, but there's a point here. Make the film you want to make and don't pander and cater. I'm looking at you, Disney. Because talk about the fall of an empire in a world trying to pander. Again, I get when you know better, do better. I get that, and I appreciate
they're
that.
just full of pander bears.
And I'm for that. I'm pander bears. That's great.
I like that.
I'm for when you know better, do better. But sometimes you lose your story. And obviously, you lose your audience when the pandering becomes more than the story.
Yeah.
And you know, if a piece of art is created a certain way, you can say you don't like the art, or you can not appreciate it, or even look at the art, like Vaz says, take a peek at it, or maybe look deeper into the art. It's still the art.
Yeah.
When you start, people want to complain why there isn't good movies out anymore. Well, start with the fact that everything needs to fit through the eye of a needle. You got to present your art and your wonderful stories and your wonderful conflict and your very, very variant characters and your deep character arts, but they got to pass through an eye of a needle.
Yeah.
Try to tell an artist to do that and see what kind of good work you get.
I feel like they're coming off of it. Like it's starting to move away from.
And I think we're all better for it the farther we get from there, because it's art and it's a storyteller's perspective. And like it or don't like it, and cringe or don't cringe, filmmakers, I think, and
Yeah, see,
who am I to say?
that's
But
my
I
only
wish
issue
filmmakers
with
would just stand
yeah.
up to it and just say, "Yeah, I made that."
Yeah. Well, I feel like that's because that's my only issue with it. Wasn't the natives being in it, or wasn't even Johnny Depp being native in it, but it was like it felt like they were pandering to that to audiences because we want to make him so much bigger than the Lone Ranger. I go, the Lone Ranger's the first name in the movie. Why is he not? Why is he a bumbling idiot compared?
But it's
to
almost
the
like making like Prince Charming. Then in the movies now, it's like he wasn't even a big part of this. I'm like, well, then it's not the same story. Then
Right.
If you're gonna make the Lone Ranger like this bumbling idiot, that's what I felt a little bit in that movie. It's like, okay, you're trying to make me feel better and less marginalized. Well, you don't have to do that by making someone else an idiot.
Or making the movie not as good.
Right.
Yeah.
So a couple of side notes I have then, because what you're saying, I get it where it's like, well, why call it Lone Ranger if our main protagonist is actually Tonto? I kind of felt that way with Django Unchained, where I'm like, we've been following the dentist for most of the movie. So when you switch main characters, kind of like, okay, now I get it. It's Django Unchained. He's free. He's the new protagonist. But we had been following the other guy for the rest of the movie, and he was the one putting things in motion. He was the one. Well, he was the one that teamed up with Django, and it was the dentist story for most of it.
Yeah,
but with Lone Ranger,
this is super fun discussion. I'm loving this.
Yeah.
So for Lone Ranger, leading up to it, I was iffy, but then I heard like, oh, Johnny Depp spent some time with actual tribes and learning how they live and language and how they speak and live and culture and all that. And I thought, that's a good way to do it right there. Like he's actually learning, and to hear his intent was not to offend the source of his portrayal. And so my tune kind of changed about it until I see that same costume show up at the Spirit Halloween store or whatever it was at the time.
Oh boy!
Oh, with the crow.
And then it was like, that's all it's going to be though. If it's a big Hollywood production, something like that. Even though you tried what you did to make it as authentic and heartfelt as you could, the way that it's going to be misconstrued is through money and all that. And so seeing it be portrayed as a costume after that was kind of like all that work for nothing, basically, is what it felt like. And that's what I see from you mentioned the sports teams, but I see that from like the Chiefs mainly, where the logo, fine, it's a flint head, arrowhead, whatever.
Yeah.
The Chiefs name, like, okay, there's actual Chiefs out there. But the fans, when you take a snapshot of some of them with your headdress and your paint on your face, which as recently as a couple of years ago, there's that family that had to deal with their child painting their face, as trying to be Native American, So it's kind of like that's the problem right there, is how the public perceives it, not how you're presenting it. So again, I say, the Chiefs logo, I got nothing wrong with how it's portrayed, but then the people trying to give it identity and wearing their own headdresses and painting their faces and the tomahawk chop and all that. Mm-hmm. Now, okay, that's why you guys can't have nice things. All right, last movie I'll bring up is Tin Man's Own Crooked Arrows.
Yeah.
Historical.
Absolutely.
Or stereotypical. Which is, again, it's funny.
So this is 2012?
Because
2011?
we have native portrayal throughout the movie, but is it presenting it well?
So Crooked Arrows is 2012?
You'd be the master on this.
That's 2012 when it came out. 2012, I did get to play a student. It's kind of like a Bad News Bears lacrosse movie taking place on a reservation, lower budget. I got to film it in Boston. I lived in a hotel in Boston for a couple months in 2011. I played one of the lacrosse players on the team, and then I got offered to do stunts. So I did 4 stunts total, maybe 3. It's maybe 3 stunts. The last stunt I did, I got a really bad concussion, and but it was like, hey, you want to do stunts? You'll be less seen in the movie, but you get paid like quite a bit of cash right up front. Each stunt you did lasted maybe 10 minutes of prep, gear, getting hit at 25%, 50, 75, and then filmed it at 100% where I'm getting... I hit someone and then I got hit twice. So I hit once, I hit somebody, and then I got hit again. And that last one, I think it was 3 times then. That last one, helmet flies off, smack my head on the ground, and I get bad concussion. And they were like, that's a great shot. Like, okay. But they, but I mean, lacrosse team that I was on got a whole bunch of pro players now. All the Thompson brothers were on the team, and it was a good time.
Do you feel like it gave justice to Indigenous cultures? Or do you think it was copy and paste, here's how we're going to sell money, or here's how we're going to sell tickets, and
I don't know.
That?
It was a fun story that when you read the script in its entirety was kind of neat, but they end up cutting a lot of the scenes with the kids, with the team doing fun stuff on outside, being native kids, being kind of rambunctious outside idiots. You know, it was fun, the stuff we got to do, and then put it together. It's corny. It's not super great. I mean, it's Gil Birmingham from Yellowstone. He's in it. I actually got to share like a room with him. We got to jam a guitar once. It's kind of fun.
That's a Hell or High Water reference.
That's a Hell or High Water. He's excellent in that one too.
Which we'll bring up later. But
Jacob Black's dad from Twilight. Just any fans of Twilight out there.
No, I ain't bringing that one up.
Right here, not out there.
But so the concept of it sounded, hey, you're gonna bring up, hey, here's the origins of lacrosse, and they're gonna school the preppy people
show
on
up
how to
the
play
preppy
the game.
high end lacrosse teams that got all the money and all the
little Mighty Ducks.
And then we're in the backwoods and
they're the District 5 Crooked Arrows.
Yeah, District 5.
Man.
Yeah, with barely any pads and gear, and our coach is running a casino and ends up getting us all the gear we need and trying to coach a team to bring back his roots.
So I think conceptually, like you said, you read the script, you think, oh, okay, I get it. I get what you're trying to do. But then you see it play out, and you're thinking, I think you missed the mark here. Like you said, some of the scenes that would give more meaning to these players as people rather than an idea of Indigenous culture, I guess.
There's poverty that we got to come in and save.
And because the opening scene is like, oh, we start our flute playing, and then we got a guy in a loincloth starting to play lacrosse, and it's like, oh, that's how you're starting it, huh? Yeah. I'm pretty sure there's a papyrus writing of some sort, some font. I'm thinking, this is just copy and paste of, like, how can we show that we're native? And that's how it did it. Mm-hmm. And that'll kind of play into what we'll talk in just a couple moments here. So we'll move into...
I will say this, though.
Say it.
Okay. So when we first got our team together, they picked the teams based on a little bit of lacrosse skill and then your ability to talk scenes on a camera. So that's our team is picked to look like high school kids. They picked the Coventry Academy. So it's this one team. It's just our team and then one other team. They just switch the jerseys out whenever we play a different team. And they picked some pro lacrosse players, D1 players, like high-level, good college players to make up this team. And the first time we played against them, we played one-on-one, and they just whooped us. halfway through filming, we all go out to lunch, or we have, what do you call that? Where they make all the food for you on set. There's like a
catering.
Yeah, there's a word for it though. I can't think of what it's called. Like on set food.
That was just catering. They called it catering.
No, it's I'll think of it later.
We gotta
on.
get the fancy word.
Yeah, there's a film
go.
term for it. I can't think of what it's called. But while we're eating, we went back to get all our gear together because we're running through scenes. It's all choreographed, and none of the film crews there. There's one guy that's kind of like our liaison that just keeps eyes on us, and we're like, hey, why don't we play our guys against you guys? First 1 to 5 wins. Okay. The one guy's like, I'll be a ref. I'll grab a stick, and I'm going to play long pole, long stick defense. So I'm like, all right, give me a long pole then. I'm going to play. So we got to play against them. 1 to 5. Their whole team against our whole team, and we had one guy reffing. We threw a guy in net, and we really went at it. And it was a fun, hard game. All of our guys who eventually became pro lacrosse players and everything against their guys. We got to where we were winning 4-1, and the one guy watching us, our liaison, had to stop us because we were getting so into it. Someone's going to get hurt. Like, we're really hacking hard. We're like body checking. Like, people are getting hit hard, and they're like, no, okay, we got to stop. But to have that little bit of comeback, like to represent the movie, there was a real moment where that did happen. And I wish that was
the real movie right
and
there.
I really wish that was on film, because we really clicked, like playing as a team. And I was just like, you know what? We needed, because we got whooped on playing one-on-one against them, and then got to actually, hey, guys, let's play together,
That's
and
cool.
it was like a real moment
That's
that
cool.
This team really did have that moment together. And I wish that was on film, but it was a really fun time. Anyone who was there got to see the movie or got to
behind the scenes, did the educating.
Did a real,
Not the actual
really
movie.
filled out the movie. So,
all right, we're gonna move into modern portrayals here, and kind of circle that back to maybe reflect current community. So modern portrayal. I don't know if we've all seen this one. Whale Rider.
nope, didn't see that one.
I don't believe I have either. Again, it was on my list of things to try to watch. Haven't.
Okay, we'll move past that one then.
Oh, I heard it was really good too, though. Rats. Sorry, audience.
So Smoke Signals. We mentioned that one a little bit earlier. So just a little bit about that one.
Yes,
It's
this one.
Victor and Thomas. Their dad passes away. It's been years since I've seen this one. But was it their dad passes away and they're going back to collect the remains or something like that, right?
It's Victor's dad.
Victor's dad passed
Yeah.
away, and he's kind of struggling with his own feelings about his dad, whether he appreciated what he did for him, or if he had respect for him or not, because
I think there was a lot of resentment.
Resentment.
And then it was
because he was a big drinker and would kind of say things off the wall, and so it's kind of dealing with your ancestry a little bit, where you come from, and whether or not you can appreciate it or take it with you or not as you move forward in life. How'd you guys feel about that movie?
I feel like it's I think it was the first time I felt like there was something on film that I watched that hit some accuracies, and they were silly accuracies.
Mm-hmm.
Turns out I live in a silly neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
A really warm, loving, nurturing neighborhood, but there's a lot of silliness, and I think that humor is used at every bend, at every corner, to massage some hurts, to communicate hard truths, to maybe share some commonality among people who are very different, stuffed on a tiny little reservation.
Mm-hmm.
And humor is the great common denominator, I think, that works in Indian country. Humor, you can go from territory to territory, and if you have a good sense of humor, you can be okay. You might not fit in perfectly. You might still be an outsider, but you're going to fit okay. You'll probably find your doppelganger somewhere among every territory.
Yep.
There's
That's the weirdest thing, but that's exactly
there is the Vaz, there is the Tin Man.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there's a K-Max.
Yep.
Another one. We don't need three of them.
Gosh, there's Arizona K-Max?
That's exactly it.
Yep.
You see them all over. Now, the great thing about smoke signals, and I think what's pretty genius in filmmaking, is being able to capture those commonalities. The car going backward because they burn out all the other gears.
Yep.
The two just kind of talking kind of silly to each other, just kind of like irreverent chewing gum and just kind of, we all had that classmate.
Yep.
And you had the DJ who was kind of like the Jiminy Cricket looking over things and somehow seeing things at the intersection, giving the traffic report.
Yep.
Or the weather report.
Yeah, yep.
And things like that. The only station I know is KFYR out in the West. It's like this big Indian station, and you had those kind of updates, and those were around before smoke signals. They would give little updates like that. So that movie borrowed a little bit from Life and imitated that a little bit. We see even the idea, the sad idea of the father who's a drunk. You don't have to go far to find drama if you're making films about Indian country. You find, like, I think we'll talk about, I'm sure, Wind River soon. Talk about some of the atrocities that happen. You can find high crime. You can find high suicide rates, sadly.
We'll master the segue here, because the movies that we bring up for modern portrayals deal a lot with heavy scars and loss and burdens. And how do you cover up those feelings? Is it going to be with comedy like Smoke Signals? Or is it going to be with anger, there's a character in Wind River we will talk about, or you cover it up with drug use, again, also depicted in Wind River.
Yep.
So a lot of hurt, a lot of pain depicted in modern portrayals, even things like shows like Reservation Dogs. Mm-hmm. A lot of hurt from the past still affecting the present. Did you put anything in for?
Yes, I did like their sense of humor or silliness. I heard your dad died. It was
Victor.
We heard it in the wind, felt it, heard it from the trees, and your mother was in here earlier crying.
Yeah, like crying. I think everybody can do the Thomas impersonations in every Indian country. And except mine sounds like Don Rickles.
But no, I did like that, and I've read a bunch of Sherman Alexie. That's like one of the books that all of my children so far have read. Is when they get old enough, is that the story of a part-time Indian. What is it? The real life story of a part-time Indian. I think is what it's called. Sherman Alexie's book, because that one feels like a good insight into young native on a reservation, trying to fit in, trying to understand himself, coming of age. And then the issues that come along with living on a reservation or having family, that's the same issues everyone seems to have, So it's a really cool book, and that's one of the few books that one of my sons, I go, hey, try reading this one for your book project. And he's like, I read the whole thing in like 3 days. He's like, I never did that before. I was like, I got to try finding more books like this, but it's hard. If anyone gets a chance, Sherman Alexie's book's pretty solid. But that's where the story comes from. That's
He's an interesting man, Sherman Alexie.
He's had his issues recently, but
he's had his issues. I say this. I'm not picking on him. I'm just saying that I have to fight all the time when I see someone that's going out there and trying. But I got to fight even harder when it's someone who's trying and having some kind of success. And he's as close as we come to, from a literature standpoint, putting things out there that has met pretty much not marked success or checkered, but good success with some of his books. And even though he'll never say it, and he's never claimed it, you have a little resentment that's latent that says, who are you to speak for me? You don't speak for me. You're not telling me who all these people are. And I don't believe he's ever claimed to be. But there's always a push you're going to get from me, a pushback because when their work is received as, oh, I understand this so well. I understand you so much better now. I'm like, that's not me. That's not my experience. I always got to be real careful because the artist or the author, even in this case, I don't think they ever claimed to be the authority on the topic. And then my biggest fear of this particular podcast today was anybody listening to it ignorantly, I would say. Because if you're listening at all, you hear us say all these qualifiers saying we're just three dudes. But, we speak confidently from our perspective because that's all we have. And I think we're all pretty good to say, yep, this is who I am, and here it is. Here's what I think about this.
Maybe that's why I like that book, though, is because it's like his story growing up.
Yeah,
it wasn't like, here's what you guys should be doing, thinking, saying, and acting. It was his story growing up, and it wasn't a point at everybody. Maybe that's why it worked out
think
so
so.
well that way.
I think so. I remember reading the critical.
The responses
People have written some other books that I love from Indian country, and just praising it up, saying the voice of a people, and I'm like, no, it's one person's story. This is why I believe everybody should write a book, because everybody has a book to write. And I might not read everybody's, but it'd be interesting to flip through and page through.
Yeah.
Very similar to the way he wrote that particular book, because I think it'd be therapeutic for everybody to write that book, and I think it'd be therapeutic for us to read the accounts of our friends and neighbors and find out that they weren't what we thought they were.
Right. Or they weren't just what we
thought
they
were. No, honestly, I feel like that would be a huge thing. So get on it, people. I want to read your books. I'm everywhere.
Just the little conversation we've had just now, though, like, for me, a lot of times I'm the only native in a given social setting. So I don't claim to be, the representation of Tuscarora people or Indigenous peoples. But it's interesting because that a lot of times that is what people are going to see. People that don't have interactions with natives on a daily basis are going to see each of us, policeman. A native policeman is probably pretty rare, other than outside of your family.
Yeah.
And then K-Max. I mean, in your school district anyway. I don't know if there's any other natives.
One of one.
So then I have a coworker that's got native ancestry, but I don't know. I'm unsure of how much or how close she is with it. But other than that, a lot of times I'm having to, whether I like it or not, be the person that, speaks up or corrects or says, oh, no, that's fine. Like, I'm not offended. But again, that's just my perception, my perspective, though. It's tough to almost tell them, hey, that doesn't offend me. But if you say it to the next person, they might be offended. And it's almost kind of breaking it down, saying, the same thing you would with anybody else. Everyone has their own issues here. So even though I'm not offended or I have these thoughts, doesn't mean you can go to the next person and say the same thing.
That's right.
And I think that's been an interesting process. And I'll bring that up with, again, one of the proud and happy things I get from seeing in movies.
Yeah.
What our conversation about smoke signals brought up some thoughts on that is, yes, it doesn't speak for everybody, but in our social situations, a lot of times that is the only representation that people are going to see. So
that's it. I mean, when you got to be, it's such a pressure tightrope walk when you're the only Tuscarora that someone will meet, or you're the only. It's a lot of pressure.
I think that's when people, the fans of the sports teams. Oh, I spoke to one guy.
That's it.
And he said that his nation thinks that it should be this team.
It's funny, being one of one somewhere, you get people to tell you, what do you think about that? You're native. And I always try to qualify it. Sometimes I get tired of qualifying. I'm like, here's what I think about it. You're asking me. I'll tell you what I think about it. I do have some really good folks, though. They'll be teaching a grade 4 ELA lesson about, communities and trying to find out a way to make it more immersive. And they'll say, if we want to do this or that, what do you think about that? I'll say, here's how I think about it. And here's how I think about it as an educator, as a native educator, and as a native educator who's a father. Here's how I think about it. Here's Here's what I think about it as a native educator who is a father who happens to be a born-again Christian. Oh, curveball, right? And so folks only have to, they just have to, as long as you're honest and just say, yeah, I'll give you my opinion about it, or here you go. The one thing I have a problem with is, like I told Tin Man just now, is if anybody feels like they're the perceived voice of the people, and it seems like that's all you see on social media and other places, like, look at this is me, because this is how you should be. And then you have so many, and it's a soapbox time. Let me reinforce these soapboxes because I'm pretty heavy. When someone speaks for you, it's one of the most disrespectful things someone can do, and they don't even know it sometimes. Especially when someone doesn't share who you are authentically, when they don't share the authenticity of your roots, and they're going to speak for you because they're louder and more boisterous than you. Not because they have more authority, and certainly because they have more authenticity, because very often they don't. They don't share any of your experience or who you are, or I'm going to say a dirty word, your blood quantum even. None of that. They just happen to have a bigger voice, or the right audience, or more money, or a bigger platform, and they're going to speak for, for the rest of the folks who maybe don't want to holler out, or maybe don't feel like I need to make everybody feel or believe like I believe.
I think that's where people like, I shared my story about the guy at Syracuse that is talking hated Dances with Wolves. I think that's where some of those feelings originate, is you don't speak for me. Mm-hmm. Kevin Costner, you don't speak for how this happened. I feel like that's probably where some of that comes from.
Yeah, and you sit in the audience telling that kid, you don't speak for me, dude. Mm-hmm.
Right.
I mean, it's autonomy. We all want our sovereignty. We all want our autonomy. This is fun. This is the third time I said that tonight.
Flip tape to side B.